I love the emoji. Not buried on U.S. soil is General George S. Patton. He's buried in Luxembourg. He wanted to be buried with his troops. Anyway, let's talk about AI governance background and fundamentals. Love the reaction. This is a topic I have been geared up all week for this webinar because this is something that I think could be the future of data management. And it's a topic and something that I'm working on actively as a practitioner. EWSolutions, we've been in business since 1997. This is what we do. We do data management. We've won basically every award you can in it. If you look at our client list, we've had over 150 client partners. And here's my background. I'm not going to read through this. It's a lot of stuff, but I've included my email address. Oh, thank you. Somebody liked it. This is a busy slide, isn't it? But I've included my email address. If you have a question on your project, feel free to let me know. Be glad to try to help out. What are we going to talk about today? What a packed agenda. My goodness. AI adoption, critical topic that's happening right now in the industry. In fact, my favorite slide of this deck is my first one that I'll spend time on. I'm going to go through some AI governance background and fundamentals, the need for AI governance, including some incidents that have happened. When I say incidents, oh my gosh, what a nice way of saying problems, big litigation. We're going to look at the AI governance landscape, talk about why do we need a special approach for governing AI applications? Can't we just do what we've done with legacy apps for all these years? And then some things driving AI governance. So, my goodness, what a large number of topics. So, let's get the party started. All right, AI adoption. I love this chart. This came from one of my coworkers, Nathan Bell. Really fascinating. What I want you to understand is this is how new technology enters the marketplace. If the new technology is real, it's not just marketing fluff and fake stuff, which AI is. It's new. It can do things that we've never been able to do in applications before, and I'll talk about that as we move forward. So when you look at it, let me start with the top part of this, expectations. Normally, when we see new technology, there's massive marketing. I think all of you could see, because we got a smart crew in our audience, there are billions of dollars going into the marketing of AI. So the expectations are so inflated. Look at the top here. They're sky high. People think, hey, I can build something like ChatGPT from the ground up, only charge 20 bucks for people to use it a month, and somehow I'm going to make money on it. Here's what those executives don't know. OpenAI is losing about $1 billion a year. And if you use that product, you know they are looking to monetize it. That I assure you. Why are they able to survive the hemorrhaging of that kind of money? Microsoft put $23 billion into them. Well, in most of our companies, Microsoft isn't handing us a check for $23 billion. That's just the reality of it. So I don't know, maybe they are in yours, but they're not in mine. So the, these CIOs and CDOs and CFOs think, wow, we can do these elaborate AI applications and they're going to be cheap. That's not reality because right now we are in this early adopter phase, just starting it. And where we are at right now is called the chasm. You see the hole in there. And you know what? When you go hiking, you want to avoid chasms. Believe me, the fall is not that bad. It's the landing that stinks. And that's where we're at, is there's sky high expectations for AI. And that we can do it cheaply. We just slap these things out, throw them out. It's easy. So, yet, there's a lot of disillusionment. People are afraid. Most companies, even the ones that appear at conferences bragging about their AI applications, if you really look at it, they're doing pretty basic stuff, small things, because right now expectations are sky high, as is fear, as is a lack of knowledge. But here's what I want you to understand. As we progress in the early adopters, we'll get to the early majority. We will get smarter. That's what we mean by slope of enlightenment. It's not comes from above. It's that we're getting smarter on how to build these. And that's when we're really going to improve productivity, and you will just see this area explode in the coming years. I don't think it's far off, 2, 3 years. So everybody who's here today, if you want to get into AI governance, my goodness, this is the time to start building your skills because it's going to be needed. All right, that's my favorite slide, but I don't think it's all downhill from here. I have so much more. Let's get into just some basics on AI governance, just some background and fundamentals. So, what is AI governance? Let's start with that. It refers to an integrated framework of technologies, capabilities, risk management, regulations, and policies that guide the development, deployment, and use of AI tech stacks. That's what it is. I'm going to wait on this slide. I need to spend a little time. Remember, what's the first thing you saw me underline here? Integrated framework. These five areas of the framework, technologies, capabilities, policies, regulations, and risk management, you cannot do them in a vacuum. If you do, it's going to be completely disjointed, and you're not going to really be able to do AI governance the way you want to. So for those of you like Aubrey and others who've been to a lot of my webinars, you know how I'm going after this. I'm going to eventually go into every one of these topics, maybe do multiple webinars on certain topics, and really get into meat and potatoes of what you do to implement this stuff, because that's the key. But keep in mind, when we're doing AI governance, we are merging tech along with building our internal capabilities. This includes our AI development teams. Policies, we have to have great policies for our data throughout the organization. We have to look at regulations because there's a whole slew of them. In fact, in 1 month, in December, will be our next webinar on AI regulations. I will really dive into the NIST standard for the risk management framework, RMF 1.0 for NIST. And last but not least, risk management. How are we going to manage these apps? What's our failover policy? If we start building this app and we're having problems, how are we going to backtrack out of it? All of those things are part of great AI governance. All right, let me continue. All right, AI governance primary goal is to ensure that our AI systems are designed and used ethically, transparently, they're accountable, and they reduce risk while, and this is key, promoting innovation and organizational benefits, or I like to think organizational excellence. This is what we want. Too many times, AI governance programs, at least these early ones, are so concerned with reducing risk and transparency that they handcuff the AI application from being successful. Great AI governance, just like data governance. I've lived all this in the data warehousing world for a long time. When you do this stuff right, your applications perform far better. They fail less. The benefits are exponentially better, and you're going to see that. We even have some early indicators of how AI governance has been helping. It's only going to get bigger, better, more elaborate. All right, ethical. What do I mean by that? The AI systems need to be fair and remove bias. When you're going to the web and you're scraping it and searching it and bringing that and training your model, the web is bias. If your source is biased, guess what? Your model is going to have some bias in it. So we need to be cognizant of that. And I think this last piece is even the more complicated and more relevant one. We need to protect human rights and privacy. That's a big deal. I think there are already enough privacy issues going on, in fact, too many. And AI could take that to new levels, which I'll show you in some of the incidents. So this is what we mean by ethical. Transparent. Here's the deal. An AI application, when built correctly, should be transparent and explainable to a non-AI, non-IT person. We should be able to pull in a marketing person, a finance person, or just a general person on the street. And our AI application should be transparent. where it can be explained in just an easily understandable manner. If we can't explain it, don't be under the illusion that you understand your AI application. If you can't explain it, you don't understand it, period. All right. Accountable. We have to be able to audit these applications to minimize risk. We need to combine both qualitative and quantitative measurements. Quantitative, what do I mean? You can count it, you can measure it in numbers. Qualitative, think quality. We should be able to get people's opinions. Is this working right? Is this working incorrectly? All right, next. We want to reduce risk. We need to be able to focus on identifying, managing, and mitigating risk that can arise from the development and deployment of these technologies. So we need to be able to first identify what risks exist and then manage and mitigate them. I'll give you a very easy mitigation step that I would say the majority of AI applications are missing right now. They all think that they need to use techniques like RAG, um, where you're going off RAG, retrieval augmentation generation. Fancy acronym, my goodness. All it means is we're going outside of our four walls of our organization and scraping maybe websites or documents that are not ours. They're sitting probably on the web or somewhere else. Well, an easy way to reduce risk is don't allow for RAG. Don't do retrieval. Maybe we don't need up to the second information. So, what's an example of RAG? For those of you who've been around me long enough, you know, I'm a football fan. I need to know how my Chicago Bears are doing. And by the way, we're doing pretty darn well right now. If I have some application that's giving me that a user could ask, what's an up-to-date score for the Bears game? How did they do yesterday? You know, or 2 days ago, they won. That's something that we're not going to be constantly bringing into our model. We're going to have to use RAG to go out and get that because that's something that's up to date. So ways you can reduce risk. Don't do RAG. Maybe you don't need to in your application. Number two, and this is a big one that I see missed. Limit the number. This is a best practice with AI. Limit the number of applications within your environment that you're using to train your model. Limit them. If you're scanning everything, probably you're not doing this correctly. That if you, first off, your model is going to be much more inaccurate than you want it to be if you just scan everything. And number two, it adds a lot of cost to your model. And three, you really up your hallucination rate. All right, let me keep, I could just spend all day on these. Promote innovation and benefits. And this is something I believe strongly in. We're building the AI application to make a difference within our organization. That's what we're doing. We need to promote that. We need to ensure that we are accomplishing that, and great AI governance does that. Because that's my learning point. When you implement this correctly, you're going to make your AI applications far more successful. They will be far more accurate. They will have less risk. You will have more confidence in them because you will be able to have more confidence in them. It should simplify your tasks when you do it right. I'll give you an example. When you're building an AI application, one of the first things you're going to ask, where are we going to get the data? What does the data mean? Well, part of great AI governance is good metadata management. You guys know this. Good metadata management is what? It gives you the who, what, when, where, how, and why of your data. Well, if you've done that already and you've digitized that in a great managed metadata environment, great data catalog, guess what? That task is done, and it's done better than any team of AI developers can do it because it's not their strength to do that stuff. All right. Let me keep going because my goodness, I have a lot of slides left. So, why do we need AI governance? Well, number one, it is well understood some of the problems with AI, and it's led to distrust. In fact, when you look from media sources, they love sharing AI disasters. So, this is something that we need to address. Because what we want to do, like my little image here, transform fear into positive action. Third bullet, I want you to understand this. When we think of applications, most people speak about an AI application as a single application. It's not. Rarely is it that. Typically, it's an AI stack. It's a whole group of applications. It's not just isolated components. So when we're governing, we need to govern the AI stack because this stack creates new risks that we just don't get when we're looking at a single application. And sadly, we've seen plenty. Hey, a thumbs up. I like the thumbs up. There have been plenty of misuses for AI. Let's take a look at some of them. ChatGPT. When it first came out, you could ask it such important business questions like, hey, how do I create a Molotov cocktail? Oops. And it would give you that answer. Not a good thing. Like, hey, how do I blow up my boss's office? Probably a question we shouldn't be answering. Yeah, oh, is right. My goodness. Cyber criminals used it. There's actually um, a UK-based energy company. They convinced the CEO of the energy company to transfer almost $250,000 to a fake supplier in Hungary. How'd they do it? They used voice phishing or deep faking to mimic the voice of the CEO of the parent company. So very clever, very intricate. Probably had somebody from the inside helping out, uh, but they fell for it. They transferred $250,000 because deep fakes are incredibly powerful. I'll talk about them. Uber 2018. They said, "Hey, let's create some automated vehicles." Not good. They killed a pedestrian in Tempe, Arizona because it couldn't identify the person. These are serious mistakes. Like, if you're going to build AI for automated driving cars, you better really think it through and have tested it before you put it on the street. Dutch tax authority, I should say. Thousands of families were wrongfully accused of tax fraud. Disinformation. When you pair the ability of AI with the internet, the ability for disinformation and dissemination of it from bad actors, nation states, organizations, or individuals, it's a concern. It just is. And I will tell you that it is something that we're already seeing. So let me kind of continue. Deepfakes. This is when artificial intelligence is used, specifically deep learning techniques, to create highly realistic fake images or videos or audio recordings. You'll see these where they will mimic very famous people like Oprah Winfrey or Joe Rogan. I've actually gotten fed these on YouTube, these ads. And when you first see them, you're like, "Whoa, is that them?" And then if you have a keen eye, you can kind of spot the deep fake. But I can tell you in the commercials that have been sent to me, these are not high-end organizations. These are small businesses with a lack of ethics, may I add. But they're pretty darn realistic. If I don't look quick, if I don't really pay attention, I can get fooled. So it's something you want to be aware of. So let me just give you an example. I did this one this was part of my keynote at a big conference in Canada. I asked, which of these images are deepfakes? So we have very famous people here. We have Morgan Freeman. We have oh, I forget the name of the criminal in Austin Powers. Dr. Evil, is that right? Joe Rogan, Keanu Reeves, Tom Cruise. And unfortunately, I asked, which one of these images are deepfakes? And the actual answer, they all are. Every single one of them. Shockingly realistic. And honestly, they're far more realistic today. I think AI's ability for deepfake may be the biggest concern of all. That's why I will tell you right now, deepfake identification software on your phone and on your PC, that is going to become ubiquitous, just like antivirus software. If I knew how to build that stuff, I think I might jump into that world because I don't see how that isn't going to work well. Um, because we're going to need it. Because at some point, and the point's coming up very fast, you can deepfake really anybody quickly. In fact, I recommend everyone, if you get a call from somebody saying, "Oh, I'm your credit card company, I'm your phone company," say, "You know what? I'll go call you guys back because you know the actual number. Don't take it from them. Don't give out any information over the phone or over the internet. Very dangerous. All right, let me continue. The AI governance landscape. What are we existing in today? AI governance, first off, is a brave new world. Anybody who tells you they're the great expert of AI governance, they're not, because nobody's really done this fully. Even the stuff I've had a chance to work with, which is bleeding edge, we're just scraping the surface. We're doing small things. We're basically putting fingers into the dike and trying to get small achievements in a very large, complicated organization. So this is all new. Anyone who tells you here's the definitive way of doing it probably hasn't gone down it. I will tell you, as I go and I'm working in this area, it's a focus of my career. I will continue to add to the techniques and capabilities as time goes on, and I'll be sharing them with all of you every month. Anyway, even more advanced regulations like NIST, the AI Risk Management Framework 1.0, they're voluntary. You read that document, it is thick. I'm one of the only people in the world who's read that thing because I had to as part of my job. It's voluntary and it is complicated. It is something, and it's rigorous, but it's still voluntary because so many people are still grappling with how should we regulate AI. So, and by the way, I've already mentioned most companies, their AI investments have been pretty small up to this point. Also, software solutions are few and far between. I get emails from companies who are building AI governance software or who have built something, and I love how so many companies are jumping into it, but it's going to take time. It won't be finished in a day, a week, a month, or a year. uh, to me, and because AI governance has to adapt as AI continues to evolve and change. People who are much more knowledgeable about building AI apps than I am have told me, hey, Dr. Marco, every 6 months these change. So the things we can do today are things we could do before. And they know in another 6 months it's going to change again. So, with that, let's talk about some things that make AI applications unique. All right, AI applications, though there are plenty of similarities to legacy apps, they are different. First off, most AI applications you're going to be creating make decisions or inferences or provide an output without human inspection or evaluation. So I have worked in the field of analytics for a long time. I think we have some people here from my IIBA webinars that I do every quarter. These I've talked about automated decision making. It is something I've worked on for decades. And normally you do it in a very focused, narrow scope. AI takes that and it supersizes it. It just puts it on performance enhancing drugs to the maximum level. Probably not my best analogy, but hopefully you laughed about it. Anyway, it does this without human inspection or evaluation. And that's what's really so different. Also, the nature of an AI application makes them so much more difficult to check and verify automatically. I'll give you an example, and I have it right here. If you're building an application to accept orders from your customers, one of the things you're going to do is run a zip code check with a national database to ensure that the address exists and is properly formatted. I'm sure you, like I, when you go and order something, you'll type in your address and it will correct it for you, saying, hey, that doesn't perfectly match a national register. Fine. That's structured. That's something that we do all the time and have done for decades. But an AI application, its outputs are not nearly as structured as that. They use statistical reasoning, many times with minimum or no human interaction. And then here's the hook. Here's the real curveball, if you will. Most Gen AI applications learn and change as they function. This is why testing AI applications, which I will go through, is so critical. So you need to have an approach like OTel, Open Telemetry is a standard on that. in your AI applications because the testing of these is critical, not just as you roll it out, but ongoing monitoring, automatic testing, along with human interaction. You need to have both. Without it, you cannot control these, and that's all part of your AI governance function. All right, learning point. As AI continues to change, as do the regulations, the challenge for effective AI governance becomes greater. And we as professionals need to change with it. Don't forget that. And to me, it's exciting. I have been in this industry a long time, and what I love about technology is it constantly changes. If it just stayed the same, if the stuff I did, 20 years ago, I just did the same thing today, I'd be bored. I would do something else that's more interesting. What I love about our field of data management and AI governance is it's constantly changing, constantly evolving, and we need to evolve with it. In fact, let me soapbox for a second, if I may. In my position, people ask me for career advice on a frequent basis. One of the things you need to do is be in the top 20% of whatever your specialty may be. If you're in the top 20%, you'll never look for work. Constantly learn, constantly be a student, which, by the way, you're all here at this webinar. You're all students. You all get a gold star from me. Just right there. You get your gold star. Just envision it in your mind because you're working on your skill sets. Not everybody wants to do that. They want to just do things the same way they've been doing it. I applaud you. Keep that up. Keep sharpening the saw. This will never get old and it'll always be fun. At least to me it is. All right. Enough soapboxing. Let me keep going. AI applications, they are expensive. So to build an AI application, here are some numbers, and I've referenced where I got them from. Um, to do something very small, like a little chatbot, 30 to 80 grand. Those are pretty well known. Though I will tell you, that's just the implementation. The governance is going to be more than that. Because we've had some chatbot issues over the years. One of my personal favorite chatbot incidences is when the chatbot threatened to kill the customer. That probably not a good thing. I don't know if that's really the customer service you want to provide. Exactly. Ooh, that is nuts. If you're doing something mid-level complexity, I have a client who what they did is they had PDFs that were in multiple languages, and what they did was they were able to convert them to a standardized language. Not the hardest app, it's been done before. Something like that, 150 to 500 grand. When you're looking at enterprise grade AI platforms and tools and things you're going to use, I mean, the beginning price is 700 grand to well over 2 million. Most companies aren't even attempting these because really the price is in the millions and millions. Just like it is if you're going to implement a Workday, an ERP platform, whatever it may be, an HR platform, they're not cheap. AI isn't cheap either. So, by the way, if you're a tech giant and you're looking to build your own large language model, your own Gen AI, my goodness, that could be in the billions. That's what we're seeing. That's why who's building all this stuff? Microsoft, Google, Meta. Those are the people. They got the billions. Anyway, also training large AI models are expensive. ChatGPT 3, we actually had which what are we on like 5 now? To train that took 700,000 liters of clean fresh water. By the way, clean fresh water, I don't know where you live, but where I live, it ain't what happens when I open the faucet. You need water cleaner than that. Just a little statement. Anyway, um, it's expensive. And how do you get all that water? It's a lot. Tech giants are expected to spend over 300 billion building this stuff in 2025. And we see it. If you're like me and you follow our industry and some of the big headlines, billions and billions. The other thing they're putting into is data centers. But that's a whole other story. Let me keep going. All right. AI governance adoption. Really important section. I'm going to give you some early statistics on this because I think they're important. So let me start at the beginning. when you look at AI governance, there's not a lot of good surveys I can pull from. There's not a lot of great and detailed analyses. They're coming. So what you want to do is try to get to some of the better ones, some of the early ones. So here's what I'm going to leverage heavily. It's by Gartner in their peer community data collection. They had 200 respondents who are AI and data analytics leaders who are involved in decisions around AI strategy. First off, if you're like me, so I have a PhD, you learn research and proper methods. If you're saying, wait a minute, this already sounds biased, it's because it is. The second you're limiting your audience to AI and data analytics leaders, you have a natural bias. That's okay, though. That's okay. We're at the early stage of this. Not a ton of companies are doing this, so it's harder to get these stats. I applaud the work done. So when you look at it, what are the main drivers of AI governance in your organization? The number one responded concept or driver, data and analytics strategy. Wow, we polled and asked data analytics leaders, and that's number one. Of course it is. Then we get into business strategy, using AI to improve it, and using AI governance, I should say. We need to apply it so that our analytic strategy is better. Think again, these automated decision making, these more advanced concepts, along with business strategy, which is something companies are always trying to improve. That's how you get a leg up on your competition, by having a better strategy, by understanding the opportunities in a more granular level and a more thorough and broad level than your competition. And then executive interest, things that are specific to members of the executive board. All right, let me continue. What are the negatives it impacts when you don't implement AI governance? I will tell you, I recently went to an AI governance conference where I listened to all the speakers. There's only one guy who'd even been doing it. And really, when you look at the work he did, he had great information, narrow scope. You can see it in the work. So we're just learning about the negative impacts of not using AI governance. So number one, increased costs. That's what almost 50% of these 200 people said, that when you don't implement it, your costs go way up. Well, wait a minute. AI governance costs money, but it reduces the cost of your application, the risk associated with it, and its effectiveness. That's why cost is number one. Remember I said, when you implement AI governance, your job is to not slow down the work. Your job is to make it better, to reduce the cost of it when done correctly. And I'm going to show you it. Stick with me all next year because I got a lot of information for you. Number two, failed AI initiatives. That's the number two most important benefit of AI governance. Because right now, these initiatives are failing, and they're failing at an astronomical rate. Remember the chasm I showed you? The number one problem in that chasm is that, again, elevated expectations merged with a lack of understanding and skills for building these. That's going to cause failures. I don't know what the percentages are, but I know they're pretty darn high. So that's something that AI governance radically improves. And we see second thing, second topic listed. Third topic, decreased revenue. What does that mean? Many times we're building AI applications to increase our bottom line, to make better decisions, to reduce fraud and waste. That's a big focus for a lot of client partners I'm working at. Well, if your application isn't working correctly, you're not going to reduce that. You will negatively impact your revenue because the AI application isn't functioning right. Great AI governance helps them to function right. That increases your revenue. A negative customer experience. If you're rolling out an AI application to your customers, you better be right. It better work the way it is supposed to work. All right, let me keep going. Along with negative employee experience. All right, here's another great common AI governance roles and responsibilities. This is a big thing. I will be giving you, I don't think I can handle it in one webinar. I'll probably have to go over two. Races on this, AI governance roles, all of it. Accountability and decision rights for these algorithms is the most important role because we need to understand how to make them accountable. And what are the decision rights of the algorithms? This is bringing up you hear about AI guardrails. You cannot allow these algorithms to do anything they want. So let me take a step back. Not everybody here will have experience building AI applications. Um, how do you build them if you're at a Fortune 500 company or Global 2000 company or big federal agency? Well, normally you're not building them. You're going to buy. You're going to purchase a large language model that you can implement on-prem or in the cloud. By the way, those two things have different risk levels. Number two, your model. You're probably not going to build that either. You're going to purchase one, probably through a subscription, and then you're going to tweak it and modify it and what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Rebrand it and train it to do what you want it to do. So a lot of times when you buy these models, with these algorithms, the decision rights are far too broad. So you need to put on AI guardrails, is what we call it in the industry, to limit the decision-making capabilities of these algorithms, along with roles and responsibilities and escalation procedures. This is very common of what you want is when something is going wrong, we need the capability to monitor it, to identify it, and then to escalate it based on the error. That's what we want to be able to do. Um, Again, even in what we're seeing here, it's pretty myopic because we're just at the beginning stages of AI governance. So accountability, what else do we see? Accountability and decision rights for data diversity. This is important as well, because we want this stuff to work correctly. And again, a lot of times when we're training these models, our data set is biased to begin with. Again, I'll state this a second time. I stated at the beginning. When you're training your models on your systems data, don't have it train on all your systems. That's your system's data quality is not the same. I've done that work for a long time. Some systems are better, some are worse. Make sure your most used systems, the 80/20 rule, 80% of what you do in your business comes from 20% of the systems. Make sure your data quality is sky high in those 20. Make sure you have great data governance. Make sure you have great metadata management. That's what we need. Because Gartner estimates that by 2026, AI models from organizations that operational transparency will have a 50% improvement. So when you do AI governance, the adoption rates go up 50%, the achievement of your business goals go up 50% at least, along with user acceptance, because that's a big deal. All right. This is one of my last slides on this. Oh, I think I have a couple. There was another in the same study. They talked about, oh, I'm sorry. We have a duplicate slide. I already went through this. All right, let me keep going. All right. Sorry, we had a couple dupes there. Let me tie this up. In the final analysis, and then we'll open it up for questions. AI governance programs are boldly going where no one has gone before. This is new. You have to be comfortable, constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly adapting your organization and your career and how you're doing this. The techniques that we are using today are going to change, evolve, grow, and get better over time. I'll tell you right now, for those of you who have followed my career, I love utilizing technology to simplify tasks. Why should I have a client partner have a 5,000 or 10,000 person hour task if I can use technology to reduce it to 100 hours? We would never do that. This is how AI governance technology will work today. Some of what these software programs are doing today is pretty minimal. It's not the most expansive thing I've ever seen, but they are getting better and they're going to keep evolving. By the way, thumbs up to that. There are no magic bullets. None.
Right.
I have been in this industry, not just AI governance, data warehousing, data management, data governance, metadata management for a long time. And I've learned some things over that time. There are no magic bullets. There are things that work better and things that work worse. There are best practices. You want to be a slave to the best practices because that's what's going to give you a big, big result. Because guess what? AI should empower people. It shouldn't overwhelm them because that's where we're at today. Companies are overwhelmed at the concept of implementing AI applications. Overwhelmed and terrorized. I think they're all losing hours of sleep. But with great AI governance, what we're going to be able to do is empower people and not overwhelm them. With that, Elizabeth is back here, the hostess with the mostest, and she is going to hit me with the hardest questions that you have, the really difficult ones. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away, as Pat Benatar might say.
Well, we have a great question and an interesting possible solution for it to propose. And so the question is, Audrey asks, thinking about the Gen AI changing with use, she says Audrey sees for a personal use that indeed the answers are more oriented or formatted based on the feedback provided. So what if Audrey is introducing bias without being aware of it because of those feedbacks? What do you think? Is there a way to keep it neutral? And maybe a possible way to keep it neutral would be by changing the people who are working on the tool on a regular basis, for example. Um, yeah,
Yeah, so first off, something I should bring up more often. Um, Nobody learns more from these webinars than me. People like Audrey and others who we've had on here who ask such great questions and have such great feedback. I learn stuff from you guys all the time, and it makes me think and push me to new heights. So thank you for sharpening my saw. So that's first and foremost. Number two, so I love this question because it really gets into the deeper topics of bias. First off, there are 32 types of bias. Elizabeth, I don't know that we've ever did a seminar on that, a webinar, so maybe we need to do one
yeah,
on it.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done one here. I know I've done it on IIBA. So
Yeah.
so number one, we need to look at those 32 types of biases. They don't all apply to every AI application. So let's reduce that scope. I love the comment you gave. Not all feedback is the same. If I have somebody who I've worked with a long time who tells me, "Hey, David, you're not doing this as well as you could," or "There's something you're doing you shouldn't be doing," that feedback, especially from somebody who is respected and intelligent, means more than somebody who I've never met, who's only known me 5 minutes, who gives me some type of feedback. I'm thinking of some examples, but I don't want to share them. Post-conference feedback I've gotten over the decades of doing this stuff. So not all, what I'm saying is not all feedback is equal. So somebody
Mhm.
really knowledgeable and wise and somebody who we trust who really knows if it's a company or business and the data that's involved in the application, that feedback should be weighted like that as well. So
Mhm.
Audrey, I agree. 200, not even 100%. We're going above that. We're going to 200%. So, what does that mean? It means we actually know who the knowledgeable people are. Who are the SMEs, subject matter experts within our organization? Who are they? And then who's really interacting with the model? I can tell you when we do, this is why data governance is a seminal foundational component of AI governance. Some of you know I'm driving to that place, and I'm getting there because I have a chance to work with a couple like really high-end AI experts, people who build the most complicated applications. First thing they do when we sit down, all right, David, how are we going to get the data right? If we can't get the data right, we're out. We're not going to be able to do this because it always comes to the data and it always will. So we need outstanding data quality. We need to have the experts of our company defining for each business term. What's a business term? It's a concept within our organization, like customer, like product code or product type. And then we have to have a precise definition and valid values. I have been in organizations who sell, I'm thinking of one now. They sell high-end women's accessories. A lot of our female folks, you just would long for the goods that they produce. Um, they make beautiful stuff. I spoke with three people who gave me three different definitions for product number. They sell products. How can we have three definitions? That should be impossible. And of course, they had massive issues. Do you know they would load their customer facing website every evening from 8 spreadsheets? I mean, oh boy. Is that a problem? Anyway, I could keep going, but that having those precise definitions, precise valid values, implementing that high-end data quality, high-end data governance, that's going to give us clean data because here's what's happening now. These AI development teams, you have developers looking at data sets saying, let me clean the data. They've spoken to nobody in the business. They have no idea how to do it. They're doing the best they can. That's not good enough. We need great AI governance because I can tell you, the companies that are afraid of doing AI, the first fear they have, they will tell you, I've sat in on the meetings, we can't do it because our data is not ready. That's what I keep hearing. Our data is not ready. We're going to make it ready with good AI governance. Anyway, Elizabeth, give me the next one.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions here to get through.
Oh,
So,
I'll be
um,
brief.
Emron S, can you shed light on how AI capability interacts with enterprise architecture at the enterprise level?
Who was that again? Emron?
Yeah.
Emron? Wow, what a great question. So, yes, I want to give a 10-minute answer on this, but I can't. So let me evolve it a little bit. Number one, we need to have evolved enterprise architecture decisions within our organization. How should we move data? When should we use dimensional modeling? When should we use relational? What do our pipelines look like? When should we use ETL, extract, transform, and load compared to data integration software? All these things impact your data architecture. And guess what? They are equally important for your AI architecture because and Enron, I love this question because you are getting to the heart of building these applications correctly. Because guess what? When we start doing real AI applications, larger ones, we are going to have to integrate them with our other systems. And if we don't have that system architecture designed properly to begin with, which I think, as you know, 95% of companies have not, we're going to have mucho problemos. Elizabeth, hit me. I want to keep going, but hit me with the
Yeah,
next.
we got a lot. Okay, this is another great one. We're seeing organizations eliminate, Mivani asked this question. We're seeing organizations eliminate roles before AI tools are mature or validated. Should responsible AI frameworks include principles for ethical automation, including job protection, until systems demonstrably outperform humans and preserve service quality?
Wow, what a great deep question. Um, yes is how I would do it, and I don't mean that. I'm not a job protectionist, by the way. I think it is our job to grow and evolve and always be in demand. That's what I think.
Mm.
And that's how we stay employed. It's a good thing. As I say that, to just remove people before the application has proven itself, that's foolishness. That's poor business planning, poor
Mm.
business management. I'm sure there are people who do that and companies who do it. I've seen it. Um, I think that's a weakness of executive management, to be as blunt as I could be. We need to prove this stuff. It is up to the AI application to prove its worth before we start looking at staff reduction. And to me, more relevant than that, let's retrain people. Let's have people focus on the important things. What I love about AI is when I can remove the manual garbage. I know some people like that. I saw some thumbs up fly over. So there are tasks I don't like to do that I think are wastes of my time, where I can really use my mind to make a difference within my company and within my clients. I think AI that automates that stuff to let us be better, that's beautiful. Um,
Mm.
so I'm with you. It needs to prove itself before we start removing people. Sadly, not all companies do it. Great question. Give me the next one.
All right. Kapil asks, which organizations are setting the North Star for AI governance?
Oh, goodness. Um, I would say the North Star. I think there's some awesome things coming out of the federal government. Like NIST is a federal standard.
Mm.
I think there is some great. There is a document from OMG Office of Management and Budget, Memorandum 25-21. Great memorandum on a good governing policy. It's one of the few things you see, that really had some meat into it of managing AI applications. It's from the federal level. But if you're a commercial entity, why not pull some of that and modify it? So if you get the sense I'm not answering your question, it's because I'm not. I have not seen enough. I see some companies doing some things that are good. I have not seen anything where I would give them a North Star like grade.
Mm.
But keep asking me that. Maybe in three to 6 months I will. Great question, and it says something about our industry. Very enlightened. Next one.
All right. Um, Guy, Guy Harding asked, I've been asked if I'm interested in being the AI ML architect at a medium-sized SAS company. I'm a software architect currently. What should I expect? How would I assess the situation and create a roadmap?
Wow. Okay. Um, this is a great. So, little known fact, I worked at a data warehousing software company for a period of time. So I actually have some inside knowledge of kind of how that works. Here's what you want to do. You need to be use case driven. Don't try to do everything. Do nothing for the glory of doing it. Do things, especially if you're offering software as a service. You need to provide AI functionality that will make a difference to your customer base. Make sure your customers want it, and it will improve your software, whatever your software may be. If I knew the exact software, I could probably point to something, but that people would want. Look at what CDOs want. Look at what these VPs of analytics want. Look at the chief protection officers want. Look at what the chief AI officers want. Their drivers, you should be implementing use cases in your software that help achieve them. Number two, do it the right way, meaning solid foundation, knowing it will grow and expand over time. I have such a passion for AI software. I actually am an advisor to an AI company now that builds software. That's something I really love getting into the nuts and bolts technology of it. So make sure as you're building this, know it will change, build it so it can change. Great question. Elizabeth, these are just fantastic questions.
They're absolutely awesome. We have maybe time for one more question if anyone
Perfect.
has one. Otherwise, we can end it here.
Yeah, and bring those questions for we're doing this again next month. Your Christmas.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, Imran has a really good suggestion. He proposes, or Imran proposes, a webinar on enterprise architecture and AI governance. There's something to keep in mind.
I so when you had asked me that question, what you didn't realize, you tasked me, because in my AI deck I have 300 slides. I don't have one on system architecture and tying it in. And when you asked me that question, I wrote down, I need to do that. So you taught me something. Please
Excellent.
give me that last question. Hey, that heart should be from me to you, because that was great. Whoever gave me the heart. All right, give me that. I'm going to sneak one
That's
more in.
it. That's it. That's all. Those are all the questions we've got.
Don't miss in 1 month in December our next AI governance webinar. It's going to be on regulations, and I'm going to make it my task to make regulations sound interesting. Thank you. So thank you for that feedback. Applause to all of you. Let me get my reaction in there. You guys were fantastic today, as you always are. Thank you so much. You're the best, and we will see you in a month. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.